change is coming. I know you think that it's nothing, but you hold the world in your hands. We think you have a chance.
Welcome to the Maverick Podcast. I'm your host, Kathy Rose. First, a big shout out to all the Mavericks who listen, the independent thinkers and the free spirits. I have a real treat for you today. We're going to go on a Maverick musical adventure. You're going to meet the band members of Zumst. Their music is profoundly original and amazing. And their first album is actually a rock opera, and it tells a very interesting story. So get ready. We're going to discuss the storyline of that album with the band members, and I'm also going to be sharing some of their music with you. All right, welcome, Zumst. Here we have the four band members. Now, let me introduce them, and when I introduce you, please wave and show who you are. We have Percy Cole. Percy, there we go. He is vocalist and on keyboards. We have Ian Lloyd. Ian, there we go. He's lead guitar. Jake Gardenstein. Jake.
Hello.
He's the drummer, the amazing drummer. And Connell Rose, bass. All right. I have to say I'm a huge fan of Zumst's music. Huge fan. And I also have to say, full disclosure here, Connell is my son. So you might think as a mother, I'm just being biased, but it's not the case. Fish has been my favorite band for years and years and years because I find Fish to be interesting and complex and unique. And then when Zumst released this album, you took first place, and not because my son's in the band, because I truly, genuinely love this album and love your music. So the reason I called you a Maverick band is because it's like you're coloring outside the lines with this music. You know, it's not your typical standard fare. It's unique and interesting. The rhythmic changes, everything about this album, I think, is fascinating. So I want to start off talking about the concept of a rock opera. So who would like to just tell me why you chose to do a rock opera as your first album?
Well,
I think it kind of chose us. Honestly.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There was a story that needed to be told, and we felt like it was time to tell it. And
we felt like this was the medium that we could tell it in, because this is what we know how to do.
I remember when Ian and I were in high school, there was a black box like short play performance thing that people were trying to several people made little short plays for. And I was like, we should make a rock album for this, you know, at least like a short one. And he was like, we are not ready to do that. That's going to take years. And it did. And it wasn't the same project that we started. It was just like the first time we started to think about it. So I think we've been wanting to do this for a really long time, and in some capacities.
And we chose to do it because it was one of the hardest things we could think to do.
Mm-hmm.
So there are 9 songs in the first album, and it's called Aboard the Good Ship Zumst. So, Connell, why don't you tell me, what is the Good Ship Zumst?
Good Ship Zumst, in my approximation, is what we're standing and sitting on right now.
The planet, Earth?
That's my feeling of what it is. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All aboard the good ship. It's not really like an invitation or a command or anything. It's just sort of a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Zumst is Earth in a way. Like that's what it is.
The planet Earth.
This is our big ass spaceship that we're flying through time and space on. It's our home. It's where we're from, and it's like the word Zumst literally in German. It's like there's Zoomst herein and Zoomst heraus, which means you are currently zooming out or you are currently zooming in. And that was a complete coincidence that we chose that as our band name, but it kind of aptly describes like the type of approach that we were taking, because this is a big, fantastical, like long story about like aliens and all these sorts of things, but it's actually about really human, basic feelings and functions and stories and like the hero's journey that has been told a million times. It's kind of poking fun at all of that, but also at the same time, it's just zooming in on where we are at humanity right now. essentially, it's a story in which you, the main character, the story is in second person. So it's everything that's happening is happening to you. Um, you are living in this world, the world, same very world we're living in right now, and you see it for what it is. You see the problems that exist, but you feel as though that there's something amiss. So in Nectar, you have an experience that awakens you a bit to the positive and negative elements of humanity, and from at that point on, you're introduced to a conspiracy. And this is a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek conspiracy, but there is something amiss here. There's something that everyone's not telling you. So you go on a journey to figure it out. You go through a ways away, and in a ways away, you go to the city, into the swamp, to the desert, into the mountains, and you talk to all these different characters, and they each give you a little bit more information about what's going on. And what you keep on coming back to is these entities, these aliens, these beings that are far older than us and stranger than us, are the ice bees. And the ice bees have been on our planet for a very long time, and they have been manipulating the course of action of human beings for the benefit of essentially a reality show, a fourth dimensional reality show that's being broadcast to the sensory homunculus, a grotesque manifestation of like latency, essentially like a being that no longer experiences things for themselves, but rather devours the experiences of others. This is a lot more than 30 seconds.
No, this is good.
Essentially you discover that the entire world and the drama and the stupid decisions that we're making and the mistakes we make over and over and over, this is all to further the plot, to make something entertaining for someone else. That this is they're pimping our reality. They're selling off our existence for pieces for bits, for sound bites, to make a narrative, to make something interesting for some other entity,
to make space money.
Which of course no one would really do, right?
Yeah, right.
Right.
So so the ice bees are literally like tiny, nearly invisible mechanical beings that go fly into your brain and can manipulate you, or sometimes they fill up a whole suit, like a skin suit of people, and pretend to be a whole person, and they puppet around and so this is all fantastical and kind of a little tongue-in-cheek and kind of making fun of the conspiracy theories that exist. But essentially what happens in the album is you discover that this conspiracy exists, that this is true, that the ice bees are on this planet. And,
which they are.
And so you go and you find them. And once you find them, you address the show. You make the viewer of the show aware that you are aware that you're in a show, and you tell everyone else around you. You make it no longer entertaining anymore. It's kind of like the Truman Show, but on steroids for the entire planet, for every entity alive. And then from then on, the ice bees and the organization as a whole has nothing to gain here. They leave our planet. But that's the thing that people have been warning you about this entire time, that the ice bees are better than an alternative, that yes, we let them exist and they mess up our shit and they screw with our lives for entertainment, but they're not as bad as they could be because they're better than the unknown. Choosing an evil that you know rather than an evil you don't know is usually the safer course of action.
And you're told over and over that they're guarding our planet somehow, and that if they were to leave, we'd be exposed to the scrutiny of other forces. Maybe they have they've shut down our beacons and are hiding us or something like that.
They've claimed us. And so what happens? What happens if you do decide to go against everyone else's warnings and address the ice bees directly? Well, they leave. And what happens when they leave? Well, we are in a power vacuum. There's a hole that's opened up, and we've notified ourselves to the rest of the universe by announcing our knowledge of the existence of the greater forces that be. So immediately, right after they leave, you're like, okay, wow, why did I do this? Why did I do this?
Why did I do this?
And you're wondering, like, oh my God, did I just completely doom our species? Like, is this about to be the end of times? And as you're wondering that, sure enough, a gigantic spaceship appears, and the mothership appears, and you're gobsmacked, and everyone around you looks up and they see mysterious lights in the sky, and which indicate that we are out of time. And it all comes collapsing down, and you in that moment realize that you are responsible for the death of our species, that we are all going to die, and it is most certainly your fault because you couldn't keep your damn mouth shut. But then they land, and just as you're expecting evisceration, you are met with like a warm embrace of kindness and love of like super fresh, funky aliens getting off their ship that are here to help us, that are better than us. They have learned to cooperate and they have love in our heart and they can see how close we are, but they want to give us that last little push to get us towards the edge and to help us become the actualized best versions of ourselves. And so they take us aboard the ship and show us everything beautiful that they've accomplished and tell us that we can do it too. And they impart this knowledge on us and they, pack up all their things. They say goodbye and they take off into the sky. And we are left with the lessons that they've left us. And from then on, we rebuild our cities. We take this knowledge and we move towards the future and we still have trials and tribulations, but we are no longer under the thumb of the ice beasts. And we now have some of the skills and the resources and the lessons that are necessary in order to progress as a species.
It's very encouraging when you go to join a band and people already have such a good idea of what they're talking about and like trying to accomplish.
I want to mention to everybody listening that the website for the band is zumst.org. And if you go to the site, you click on music, you can find lyrics. And what is beautiful about the lyrics on the website is that there is a little kind of personal narrative in between each one of the songs that helps flesh out what it means. And I highly recommend you go check this out. I highly recommend when you listen to this album that you have the lyrics on screen so that you really understand what this story is about. And you can do that either by going to their website or if you listen on Spotify, now the lyrics are also on Spotify. And you can click on there's a microphone down in the right-hand corner, if you do it on your desktop, right-hand corner of the page on Spotify, and the lyrics are like karaoke style, where they flow through the screen and you see the part that is being sung, which is amazing because these lyrics are complex. They're really profound and interesting, and it helps if you are reading them as you're listening.
Feel the change is coming. Feel the change is coming.
Ian, I wanted you to talk about Sunrise and explain what that's about. It starts off with feel the change is coming. So tell me about Sunrise.
Well, I think we can all feel some changes coming all the time. I mean, change is inevitable, but this song really puts you in place of a frustrated person on Earth who maybe feels like the direction that we're heading as a society or as a global society isn't a positive one. And there's a lot of fears and concerns that are part of being a thinking person in the modern world. And this song is supposed to embody that and sort of the helpless feeling that can come with that. And it's also supposed to, in the second verse, we describe what it's like to just sort of try to live a normal, happy life through that and just go, have a funky go about, as we say, where you just try to make things as exciting and fun for yourself as possible amidst a backdrop of fear.
The lyrics that I liked, that I thought were really interesting. Sunrise can't come quick enough. Brick and mortar brings some order to the mud. Reside where it's dangerous. Split the quarter. Flee the border for the flood. So it was very Louisiana. Well, split the quarter.
Be straightforward. We do
think about that a lot.
Yeah, we live in New Orleans, where it's a dangerous place. Environmentally, it's under environmental threat pretty much constantly. And that feeling is also a metaphor for a larger global feeling of, being afraid for your place, but also being afraid for the whole good ship Zoomst. And the flood is a real literal thing that has happened in New Orleans before and could happen again. But really what we're talking about is like a a global flood or a societal flood, and we don't exactly know what form it's going to take, but it's the changes that are coming, good or bad.
It's worth saying that our bands has a reason for being. A prime mandate is it's time we address the ice bees. That's why we're here. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say, I like to think of us as public servants, really, more than musicians. I don't want to say prophets necessarily, but I think, it is time and we address the ice bees. This is the whole reason for the band being in existence.
We're going to play that piece of music where you guys state that, because that's one of my favorite parts. All right. So after Sunrise, which is the second song, the third song is Nectar. And the first line in Nectar that I think is just so beautiful: separate as ourselves, we are one again, composed in harmony.
Separate as ourselves, we are one again, composed in harmony. Together there'll be no harm to thee. The world we are building, filling in all of the gaps left behind by predecessors, stressors. All they left is scraps of what was. Separate ourselves, we are lost again.
And what I like about Nectar, if you go to the website and you look at the lyrics on the website, you're talking to the old world and you're talking to the new world, so that there are two segments there. And when you're talking to the new world, there's one part where you mention turn and face yourselves, you're not alone. There's more of us than you've thunk. The good ship Zumst has not yet sunk. If we don't act, we'll perish. All we cherish will be dust. We need a chance to save it, make it better than it was. So here's where I want to insert. When you guys played in Virginia Beach, and I was at that show, and of course, here I am, this silver-haired lady in her 60s, and I'm dancing like crazy, and I'm singing with you because I know the lyrics, because I know this album. And, it's like when you're at a Fish show, how the audience will participate with the lyrics sometimes. There are those moments where the audience shouts out the lyrics with the band. Well, I'm waiting for the day when you guys play in an arena with 5,000 to 10,000 people. And when we're in Nectar, I'm waiting for the day when everybody knows the album. And when you guys say the good ship Zumst has not yet sunk, and we're all going to be yelling that out with you, because I did that in Virginia Beach. And all the young people, I did. And all the people around me who were dancing, watching this crazy, gray-haired lady, were looking at me like, oh, you know these lyrics. And I said, yeah, and you better too. It was so fun. So we're going to play this segment. It's maybe 20 to 40 seconds long. Turn and face yourselves. You're not alone. There's more of us than you've thunk. The good ship Zumst has not yet sunk. We're going to play this. If you guys we're going to play this right now. Have a listen.
Turn and face yourselves. You're not alone. There's more of us than you to thunk. The ship Zumst has not yet sunk. If we don't act, we'll perish. All we cherish will be dust. We need a chance to save it, make it better than it was.
Amazing piece of music there. And one last thing I have to say, since I know this music so well. Last year I had a colonoscopy and they put you out, you're drugged. And when you come out of the anesthesia, I was in the little waiting area where everybody's coming out of anesthesia, but I was singing this segment of the song while I was still under anesthesia. So I'm waking up and the nurses are walking by me and looking, because I'm singing the good ship Zumst has not yet sunk,
Dang.
And I came out and they went, oh, hello, what was that? Oh, it's funny. Okay, so
colonoscopy.
Yes, it will. Yes. Thank you. Proof of concept. That's our second mandate for the bands. Really. Getting colonoscopies.
Mm-hmm. Oh God. Let's don't mention that word anymore now. We're done with that.
Zeus will heal your mom.
So the commentary, the narrative that you have on your website, at the end of Nectar is as you fade, undulating into the night, you transform.
It's the waking up part of the story.
Yeah.
There you go.
Drink the Kool-Aid and the opposite effect happens.
Yeah.
So the next song is called A Ways Away, spelled AweizaWei, which is so Maverick because it's unusual and quirky and independent and different. A Ways Away is special because it's 14 minutes long and it has 7 segments. And it is a journey. You mentioned that earlier, Percy. So the 7 segments, you have the intro, then you have the swamp, the city, traveling, the desert, the mountain, the ice cavern. And each piece of this, so unique and different. And if you're in the audience at one of the shows and you don't understand this story, you're not going to be able to put A Ways Away together into a meaningful context. But if you know it, it's amazing. It's amazing. So, Connell, can you start off and share with us the lyrics? Because you're the lead singer in this, the first part of it anyway. Share the lyrics for the first couple stanzas.
When I crawled out, the stars were on the ground. Time is sitting naked next to sound. Cirrus strata, knee-deep high. That's when the mountains turned around.
When I crawled out, the stars were on the ground. And time was sitting naked next to sound. Cirrus strata, knee-deep high. That's when the mountains turned around.
The idea is the awakening. You crawl out of your hole in the ground, and the stars are underground. Time is personified. Everything is different. That's the image.
Mm-hmm. And then you mentioned the planet pivots now and then.
Yep. I guess the planet pivots now and then.
Yeah.
It's happening again.
It appears that
again.
that moment.
And then it goes.
And then the commentary, the little narrative says, you are invigorated with a curious sense of expedition and take to the open road. And here's where you start going to all these different locations. The first one is the swamp. Oh, the swamp is so effective. The not only the lyrics, but the music, the rhythm in it. What you guys did in this segment is just spectacular.
I mean, throughout this entire song, there's like a lot of
mystery
ways of saying ice bees without saying ice bees that lead you to there without giving it all away.
Mm-hmm.
Because once we do finally say ice bees, everyone will know exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be it.
But really, okay, so
you're drawn to the swamp.
Yeah, something important about this is the beginning of where you enter the realm of metaphor.
So in the story, there's others, in my approximation of what's going on, there's others who have heard the murmur, and they're kind of drawn to the swamp. They have to leave the normal confines of society. And there seems to be a message emanating up from the bog in the swamp. So there's a swamp colony there of others who have heard the murmur. And by the time you get there, it's abandoned. There's no one left.
Mm-hmm.
And they suggest that we should, the murmur around suggests that we should go to the city and find Vino Noir, because he's a man who knows what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Typically,
Vino Noir. Let's talk about Vino Noir, which is a great name. Before I actually read the lyrics, I thought you were talking about the wine, Pinot Noir. And then I had to read the lyrics called Vino Noir. So tell me about him a little bit.
Well, that's just his name. He's the most ghostest mobster that there ever are.
Need to know where you are, Mr. Vino Noir. You're the mostest, ghostest mobster that there ever are. Got to listen closely, excavate the scene. Can't find Vino, but we've got a lead. He's got friends in high places, eager to be seen. Grease him up and let him spill the beans.
Yeah, I think the transition between the different pieces, being the traveling riff, is a very important part that we haven't touched on yet, where there's like a central theme that moves you from place to place as well. We live in the swamp, and that a lot of the imagery, comes from things that we experience where, whether it's hot gloom being like those nights where it's super muggy and foggy and you're trying to literally like find your way through things. And sometimes it does feel like in that atmosphere, like things like the trees or the bog or whatever are like whispering, sinister things to you.
In the city, it's pretty fitting we're in the know about the show. It's optimistic, mystic, hip shit, yo. They're fanatics, cinematic addicts, hooked on our light stream. Our masterpieces, season 17.
These are the people in the city. These are hipsters, hip scene cats. They think they're really cool. They might be really cool.
Okay.
They know about a lot more things than you do. They're referencing things that you don't fully understand. But they think it's all just fun and games. Because really they've got it made.
They like the status quo.
Yeah, they like the status quo because the status quo is good to them.
Yeah.
They're at the top, really. They're just know how to have fun in the city. And even they know about what's really happening, but they're really cool with it. They think it's funny, actually.
He's a true bastion of the status quo.
Mm-hmm.
He is
Gatekeeper.
He's a retired general. Also, he's part elephant, incidentally. But yeah, he just kind of wandering around the desert. Maybe he's guarding the mine bird. I don't.
I mean, he just lives out there, man. He's retired. That's where he thinks like Arizona.
He's retired.
He thinks Arizona is the right place to be. When he sees anybody
looking for the mine.
Yeah, I mean, he sees anybody trying to challenge his wisdom and expertise, which says that the ice bees are here to protect us and we shouldn't mess with them. He will step in and try to do what he thinks is right, which is stop us from dismantling our protections.
The next segment is the mountain. So now you're going to climb and climb and climb a mountain, persisting upward against the jagged elements until exhausted, and fatefully you find a way in. And the mine birds are mentioned in the mountain. And Percy, you sing that one, and it's an incredible piece. I mean, it's a totally different flavor than the desert and the swamp. Do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, I think the chord that Ian plays right before we go into this section is like, this might be my favorite part of the entire album. It's just like I don't know what chord that is, but it is so
I
tasty.
think he invented that one actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the spot.
Climb your way up to the mountain, and you find the mind birds, and they tell you the actual truth that everyone else has been avoiding because the humans all have their own agendas that they're trying to push, and they're trying to shape your perspectives. But the mind birds, they remember what humanity was like before the ice bees came. They remember what we had the capacity to become, and they were voting for us, and they were rooting for us, and we failed them because we allowed ourselves to be consumed by this. Even though the ice bees are here, it doesn't mean that that's alleviates all of our own fault and guilt. Like we've still made a series of mistakes that allowed this all to happen. And so there's like this.
And we feed them and allow them to be here every day.
And so they noticed, like they tell you about the timeless beings that have undone us, that who murdered those who walk among us. Another primordial being that we'll explore later. They talked about how the conspiracy is about an entocracy, like a government of ants, or not ants, insects in general, like that, and they basically they tell you that you have a choice to make. You can either let the status quo like everyone else has done, or you can try to do something that prevents you and your family and everyone you know from being a cosmic joke. That is that we will all stop all this needless suffering to end the show and to address the ice beast.
To at least try.
At least try, and to be brave and to do something that you don't know what's going to be the outcome of that is. It could be really bad, but something must be done.
So again, I want to remind everybody who's listening right now, we're still in one song. We're still talking about A Ways Away, 14-minute long, epic, incredible journey that you go through. So we were just in the mountain, and then the next segment is called The Ice Cavern. And your little notes, your commentary is your righteous quest realizes its purpose as it meets face to face with a sublime metaphysical horror. The realization dawns.
Well, it really is time we address the ice beast. We got to do something about it. It sort of first introduces the ice beast by name in a very dramatic moment. And because this is the first time that you really truly understand what they are, and just coming face to face with it and seeing the scope of their terrifying equipment and everything it takes to turn our entire planet into a reality show, it just all hits you at once. You realize they've been here all along. They do this every day. It's
very out in the open too. There's no security at this lair,
Right.
You're just walking around.
They just trusted that you wouldn't get this far. They really did just trust that you wouldn't get this far. But you tried really hard to get here.
And because you follow the crows.
And it's basically you're addressing them and you're affirming, we're going to do something about this right now. We're breaking the fourth wall by shouting this into the void, by making this album and releasing this album. We hope to do something about it by addressing the ice bees. So this is really the climax of the whole thing, because this is the moment that we made the album for.
Okay, so here's why I wanted you guys on the Maverick podcast. Okay, so I profile Maverick personalities and the Maverick mindset. Mavericks think outside the box. Mavericks question reality. Mavericks don't necessarily play by the rules. They question the rules. It has to make sense, but it's not absolute obedience. And this song is about Mavericks questioning the status quo and address the ice bees. Here we are. I mean, so, that's why it speaks to me in my heart so much.
a lot of these are very interesting because they're in odd time signatures or like really weird modal structures. And like a huge part of the music component of this for me is like being able to get something to groove that's like highly unconventional. That can make you dance, but you're like, I don't know how to dance to this, but I'm gonna sure as hell try.
Status quo says don't do it.
Yeah, yeah.
So at the end of the ice cavern, here's your little commentary. Heart racing, you swiftly elude view and narrowly manage to avoid detection. A moment of bewildered pause, and you set off to sleuth the freezing cavern, silently drifting between endless constellations of confounding machinery. The machinery are the ice beams.
Yeah, no, that's all Ian.
Ian did all the in-between sections. It was so good.
Ian, your writing is so brilliant. I love how your mind is. And now we go to the next song, which also has unusual spelling. Why'd I Do This? WHADIDODIS. Why'd I do this?
That was the point of contention for a while, too.
Yeah, we argued.
Really?
We went through rounds of voting on the spelling of why'd I do this.
I believe that why'd I do this should be W-H, W-A-H, like why.
Why'd I do this?
What you're saying is wah, which is W-H-A. Okay.
The main chorus. I don't know what I don't know what I don't know what I do. I don't know what I don't know, but I know you do. And I found myself preparing for this and listening to that song going, yeah, I don't know what I don't know either right now. Why'd I do this? Oh my God, why'd I do this?
I love this song because even though it's continuing on with the like metaphor from the last song, it's the first part where everything is just laid on the table really clearly. I feel like so if you're confused about any of the things you've been hearing in the rest of the album, if you listen to the first couple minutes of this, it's like it just explains the whole thing pretty starkly.
On the cosmic radar since the fall of Rome, when the writers of the program started keeping notes in the subsequent centuries that we were rendering, drones were disposed to capture our performance for a reality show. That arrival on our planet was a little ice age. They were to document our progress from inside of our cages. Our aggressive proclivities, carnal festivities, unveiled our rage. They found less of the scoop, they got more engaged.
As everyone has told you, by exposing the plot and driving the ice bees away, you fear that you've opened the door for something worse to come in, something unknown to come in.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, the funk is
the power void.
Yeah.
And the funk is the beacon for all who be seeking the ultimate groovy get down.
Hey.
And sometimes those who be seeking the ultimate groovy get down, those could be threatening entities. And that's what you're concerned about. I was just gonna say about the song "Why Did I Do This?" It serves a function on many levels. We're saying why in the story. We're saying why did you address the ice bees in the first place? Why did you do this digging? This feels like a dangerous situation. But it's also us saying, why did we make this song? Why did we make this music so complicated and hard?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
I wrote the main groove for this when I was in class on my laptop, like listening to my teacher, and I did it and I was like, why can I not figure out what is going on? Is because it's in 15/16 or 15/8. And it's like it's really weird. And that's why we called it Why Did I Do This to begin with, is because it's like, what is going on?
Why did I do this?
Like, why did I do this?
What is this we're making, and what are we going to have to do to make it right?
And there's another component of like, why did I do this? Why did this happen? Why did the ice bees come here? Who are they? What is going on? This is the exposition. It tells you about Xana Topper, their leader. It tells you about how she sells this all to the sensory homunculus. It lays it down. It tells you that this is an intergalactic TV show, and that all of this is actually happening. Why did I do this? Why did they do this? Why did we do this?
Mm-hmm.
It really couldn't be more clear.
There's another segment I'm going to play here in this song. And it starts off there, the race of ancient mechanoid alien beings, right? On a covert operation to transmit what they're seeing. They're pimping reality, selling a tragedy, mocking our pain. They fly in through your ears and manipulate your brain. Oh, I love that line. I love that line. They fly in through your ears and manipulate your brain. You know, that's social media, that's advertising, that's commentary, that's the news, you know, that's exactly what's happening.
They're a race of ancient mechanoid alien beings on a covert operation to transmit what they're seeing. They're pimping reality, selling a tragedy, mocking our pain. They fly in through your ears and manipulate your brain and say the top.
And here the listeners get to understand creative genius of musicians, especially Maverick musicians who have an unusual piece of music, and how this comes together. I do like, though, we've seen through your reign of chaos and your tiny cameras. End this show, we will be cured. And then on your website, you write, you are aware of a universal beacon of disturbance resounding from your words. You would feel very responsible if this all goes dreadfully wrong. Perhaps you should have listened to General Tusk. And this is where you're like, why'd I do this again, right?
I only wish to open doors, those of which we've kept closed before we even never had a chance to understand the plight of all our people. Black and white lines overwhelm ideals, shades of gray leave a callous populace unfazed by happenstance.
Causation has an incredible piece of music in it, and we're going to play the music for that segment. But I wanted to talk a little bit about, in Causation, a few of the lyrics that I think are brilliant. Perspective breeds empathy is a line that I think is so incredibly profound. Perspective does breed empathy. Realize that we're meant to be a force against entropy. It may take centuries. We're the disease. We're also the remedy.
Perspective breeds empathy. Realize that we're meant to be a force against entropy. It may take centuries. We're the disease. We are also the remedy. We are much more than our memory. We are more than our flaws. We have not given all. We are all guided by Gregory. Heavenly tendencies calm.
I would challenge people not to dance. I mean, I can't help myself. When I listen to your music, I have to get up and dance, even if I'm looking at the words on screen. Even though you have extraordinary rhythmic changes, really unusual rhythmic changes, I have to dance. And particularly this part, Mysterious Lights in the Sky, and the driving force of this. You know, it's like how you feel when you're in a drum circle and all your cells are vibrating to that rhythm. It's so good. So good.
Mysterious lights in the sky signify we're out of time. Hopefully opening up all the gates we have blocked. All of the progress we stopped. Forcefully portioning everything we have obtained. All that we've made, all that we've gained. This is the end of the game. Celestial sirens appear, orchestrate silence of fear. Finally listening, wave of panic now consumed. Synchronized senses of doom, audible whispering is too late to decide. We should have tried, re-revive. Humanity opens its eyes.
And it's just like, it's an overwhelming emotional response. And you're preparing for it, and you're closing your eyes, and you're like, "Oh my God, this is it. This is the end." And the spaceship lands, and they go, and there's and then a bunch of aliens get off the spaceship, and immediately from like the way that they're dressed and they hold themselves, you're like, these guys are here to party. Like they're okay. They're not gonna murder us all.
They're really, really cool.
They're really, really cool.
Well, and you have a mighty global rumpus. I mean, you know, that says it all.
pure relief.
I would encourage anyone to go back on our Instagram and go find our first show in Cincinnati. There's a poster. I think it's still up there.
Oh yeah.
Live in Cincinnati, a poster that shows artists rendering basically of this moment.
Highly detailed, realistic.
Really?
I would encourage anyone to go back and look.
Oh yeah.
It'll be very clear what this song is about.
It's a subversion of expectations, you know, like we have this like fairly serious, like it obviously has like its serious silly moments, but like we're building the emotional energy towards like a direction where it's like you're expecting like, you know, like the death of millions, like, and it just flips it on its head. It's like, nope, everything's okay, we're all good, like it's gonna be completely fine.
I want all the love you can give me. I need all the heat that you got. I need all the love you can give me. I want all the heat that
you got. Well, then the next song is so incredible. It's called Equation, and that's when your heart just totally opens. And I think it's a very spiritual song. It says, I am you and you are he, and she and we have traveled to the Milky Way through Pleiades. We are fingertips of a cosmic hand. We are all one, you must understand. I mean, I posted that on Facebook once. You know, we are fingertips of a cosmic hand. That's so fabulous.
I am you and you are he and she, and we have traveled to the Milky Way through Pleiades. We are fingertips of a cosmic hand. We all are one, you must understand. Offer our guidance, inside you is chance. Progression beside you, you must now advance. I feel the change is coming, I know you think that it's nothing but you hold the world in your hands. We think you have a chance.
This is all the aliens speaking to you. Of the good aliens, not the ice beasts.
The good aliens.
The ones that to give you the knowledge and remind you of the knowledge, and they're disappointed in you, and this is a stern reminder in how much they believe in you and how much that they think the human race could thrive if we just changed our approach. They're saying to you, you can't think of us as the same as yourselves. You can't think of us traditionally as like beings that are have the same limitations that you do. We've transcended that. We are all the same as each other.
Not a singular entity, but rather like something bigger than that is like linked telepathically or beyond that, like on a cellular level.
There's a couple different parts of Earth that the aliens like, but that, you know, we have some better stuff.
We some decent beaches. We got pina coladas that's exclusive to Earth.
Other stuff.
Jazz too.
Jazz.
Yeah.
There you go. And then the last song, New Orlantis, is talking about the New World, basically.
It's just going towards the idea of like engineering like mega structures in order to deal with like climate change and stuff like that, like using the things that humanity is good at in order to propel ourselves forward and to protect ourselves as we go forward. We will continue to develop, and humanity will continue to develop, and our tools that to protect human beings will also continue to develop. And you know, maybe if we have and come across some benevolent alien that gives us some technology that helps us move along, like that could really help us.
It could really help us, but so long as the ice bees are here, all of our tools and all of our strategies are going to be compromised.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're actively working against us. It's more interesting for us to flood than it is for us to save ourselves.
Better ratings for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Better ratings, more money. Ice bees love getting money.
Units of liquid chrome, macroscopic hydrodome.
Pyramids of liquid chrome, macroscopic hydrodome. I love how you just make up reality as you go along.
Yep. I mean, those are some of the things that are going to be important to have in our new cities, especially the macroscopic hydrodome for a place like New Orleans. That's what's going to really turn it into New Orleans. It's going to weatherproof it.
The macroscopic hydrodome and the pyramids of liquid cone are very, very important, for keeping our cities safe, and they serve good functions, but they also just look really sick.
Yeah.
Which is why we have such a nice harmony on that line.
Yeah, they're shiny.
In New Orleans, you can tell a lot of time has passed. Like when they're talking about heeding the ancient rhyme, like they're referring to the secrets and knowledge imparted on us in the events of equation. But it's been so much time that it's generations removed. In New Orleans, they refer to that occurrence as an ancient rhyme. Like that there has been a significant amount of time that has passed here.
Go to Spotify, go to YouTube Music, put in the name of the album, Aboard the Good Ship Zumst, bring up the lyrics and have a good time. It'll exercise your brain. This is clever music. It's not boring. It's not standard. And enjoy. So you guys have a great time.
You too. All and right. remember to imagine all the wonderful things that a benevolent alien race could show you, and then try to implement them in your daily life.
Yeah.
Yes, and feel those when the song Equation comes on. All right. Bye for now, Zoomst.
Bye-bye. Thank you.